Hello everyone, it is Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet where I talk all things planners, fountain pens, and fountain pen inks. And today, yes, this is my current collection of brown fountain pen inks, and we are going to swatch them all in my lovely Hobonichi A5 notebook. Let's get started. And today I will be swatching with my stainless steel Kakimori nib on my River City Penco nib holder and my Browse ornament nib in the 3mm. So let's get situated here. Okay, let's start with, I'm going to try to do this in alphabetical order because that's just the way my brain works. Oops. The first ink is Anderillium Tulip Moth Warm. I bought this at the San Francisco Pen Show after I had tried a sample and loved it. Now if I can only, there we go, open it. And I love this because this brown is kind of like I say dusty pink, but also like a pink as well. And just look at that. I realized, I think out of all of the inks that I own, I think I have the most browns, which surprises me because I didn't necessarily think I liked brown inks as much as I do. And here we are with loving the brown inks. Who knew? So this is Anderillium. And I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit more here. Tulip Moth Warm. And just do a few figure eights. And the line widths. I love the line widths with, oh my gosh, I'm speaking the, I'm praising the Kakimori stainless steel nib. There we go. Beautiful. I love this brown. Anderillium Tulip Moth Warm. The next ink is Colorverse Giant Potato. There's not actually a lot of this left, so there's probably just enough to do a little sample of this, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get enough on my nib here. But for me, I never thought that I would say that browns can be distinguishable, because I just thought they're brown. Why would they be any different? But even between these two, you could see that there's definitely something different between these two browns already. One is leaning more pink or red, and this one is leaning more towards having more yellow in its color. No, I'm going to get that all over myself. So this is Colorverse Giant Potato. Slight side story here, but my daughter loves potatoes. And when we're on vacation, or really at any like big family gathering, her food of choice is mashed potatoes. Even for brunch, if there's a brunch buffet and it has mashed potatoes, that's what she's going for. So Colorverse Giant Potato. Next, we have Diamine Dusted Truffle. I believe this is from the, oh gosh, I can't remember if this is the 2022 or the 2023 Diamine INK-VENT calendar. I can never remember. I think it's 2022, but my memory is awful for that. But this is a kind of golden brown with, I say golden brown, but golden brown with silver shimmer. So it looks more beige than your regular brown. But again, I didn't know that there were so many different shades or tones or saturations of brown. And then when you add shimmer to it, I feel like that's just adding a whole other dimension to it. So we have Diamine Dusted Truffle. Love this one. I used this recently with my Heinz Penco in the Heimdall. Beautiful. I love the base of this really, really light beigey brown, but then you add the shimmer. Gorgeous. Diamine Dusted Truffle. Next we have a Diamine Raw Sienna. This was a brown ink that I basically purchased without having ever tried a sample, which for me, I must have really, really liked it just from the photos to be able to say, I am okay with buying a whole bottle without ever having even tried it. But look at how just deliciously creamy this brown looks. It's definitely a warmer brown. And what I like about these types of browns is that you can tell it's a brown ink. It's not one of those brown inks that's too dark and that when you write with it, it looks almost black. Don't want that. I want a brown ink that you can tell it is brown. So this is Diamine Raw Sienna. Just want to make sure I have ink on the nib here. But look at that. And it's got beautiful shading too. So when you look at the line widths, let's make that a little bigger. Look at that. Beautiful. So Diamine Raw Sienna. Just looking at the first 4 browns that I have here, they already look so different. So I'm excited to see what this whole page looks like. Next, we have Diamine Weeping Willow. Now, I know this one is from the 2023 Inkvent calendar, so then a Dusted Truffle must have been from 2022. And this one I had tried a sample of, loved it so much. But one thing with Diamine inks, though, is that those Inkvent bottles, once you buy them, are massive. And I know that I will never get through all of this. But look at this brown. Some people say it's more yellow, so it's leaning more on like the yellowy, beigey brown. But what I like about it is that it's got lovely chromo shading properties. So Diamine, Weeping Willow. And some people wondered whether or not this actually was legible with writing, and I will tell you, I have used this in a few currently inks, and I really enjoy writing with it. Doesn't feel too dry, but is also quite legible. And then when it does dry, it's got a little bit of green pooling around the edges. Really beautiful ink. Diamine Weeping Willow. The last Diamine that I have is Diamine Yule Log, and this is from the 2022 INK-VENTORY calendar, another shimmer ink. Now, I'm hoping actually in the next couple of weeks here that instead of just the different, brands of ink, I'll also do an inventory of all of my shimmer inks and ones that do actually work well for me, considering that I use fine and extra fine nibs. But Diamine always work well for me when it comes to shimmer. I love that the shimmer is quite consistent, but also the shimmer particles in here aren't too big that they cause any hard starts or clogging. Whoops, a bit too much. So this is Diamine Yule Log. Blog. Oh my goodness, Karina. I love the coppery shimmer that's in here. It really makes the brown stand out. Beautiful. But I also love the base color. Oh, hold on. Lucy was just on my chair. Now she's jumped off. Beautiful. So Diamine Yule Log. The next ink is Dominant Industry Harvest Moon. Again, another ink that I purchased without having ever tried a sample. But I feel like I know my tastes better now than I did when I first started. And sometimes I just have to trust, you know, my gut feeling here. But this one is definitely a lighter brown with a gold shimmer. I've sent this sample to a few friends, and it's one that maybe not everybody likes, but I love the subtleness of this particular brown. I love the shimmer that goes with it. And Dominant Industry shimmer inks are also lovely. So we have Dominant Industry Harvest Moon. I love that. It does feel like it's quite a light ink, so it may not beat everyone's tastes. Oops. But I love it. Is this beige? Is this brown? What would you call this? Beautiful. Harvest Moon. Next we have Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. And this is one that I had tried with a charger set and used all that ink. And then I was like, no, I don't need another bottle of this. I'm fine. Saw that somebody in Simona's Discord group was selling their inks. And I'm like, well, this is a sign that I have to buy a bottle of Oyster Hour. Because look at that brown. It's like that yellowy golden brown. I really like this tone of brown, as you can see, but also it goes down. I feel like it goes down very similar to Weeping Willow, but due to the chromo shading in Weeping Willow, they look different. Now, I was saying to myself when I was, before I did this video, I said, okay, this is going to help me narrow down my collection of brown inks because I'll be able to see how many of these are so similar that maybe I could pass some of these on. And so far, the ones that I've swatched, I'm like, they all look so different. Can't get rid of them then. Oh, I love that. Did I just write oyster brown? I did. It should be oyster. How can I fix that? Oyster hour. Close enough. Oh my gosh. Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. I really love that. And at first I thought that it was going to be one that was going to be hard to write with, but beautiful, beautiful writer with the right pen. Next, we have a Ferris Wheel Press Workshop Wishes. Now, this was sent to me by a fountain pen friend, and I have inked it once, but I haven't inked it again. So again, another purpose of these INK-VENTORYs is to show me what I actually still have in my collection and encourage me to use what I have. And also ask myself, is there a reason why I'm still keeping this? And I think I know why I'm keeping this. Look at that golden color with that kind of, I feel it's like a more silvery gold shimmer. That doesn't make sense, but my skill of describing inks doesn't extend very far. But I really like this, and I've forgotten what this one looks like, so I'm glad that I get to try this out again or swatch them again. And maybe I haven't inked it in a pen for a while, but sometimes all you need to do is just take your inks out and play with them. And this is what I'm doing here, is playing with my inks and also categorizing them, which is what I like to do. Oh, that's beautiful. So yeah, a really lovely golden brown color with a silver shimmer. Beautiful. Workshop Wishes. The next ink is Ferris Wheel Press Writing Desk, and this is a collaboration that they did with Wonder Pens in Toronto. And I didn't buy this when I was actually at Wonder Pens. Again, it was me going, no, I don't need it, it's fine. And then, yeah. Sometimes I'm really not great with the spontaneous in-person purchases like that. I really need time to consider my purchase, even if it costs me a little bit in shipping. I need the time to consider. But look at this really deep, rich brown. But when I actually wash the nib in water, there's a little bit of that highlighter green that comes out. Like, I eventually would love to learn more about how they create the different browns, because some brown inks have that green that comes out when you wash the nib. And if you ever go to Toronto, highly recommend a visit to Wonder Pens. It's a cute little shop with lovely stationery and a wall of inks. Absolutely lovely. Once this dries, you're also going to see some sheening happening here too. And normally I don't like inks with sheen, but this one doesn't bother me too much actually. So Ferris Wheel Press Writing Desk. The next one is from Esterbrook and the Coffee Monsters Co. This one is Forgotten Iced Coffee. Now, this one, I always wonder, is it gray or is it brown? And I still can't decide, because when you kind of look at it just like in its bottle form, it looks gray. When it goes down, maybe it's brown. Yeah, compared to the other ones, it's definitely going to look more gray compared to all the other inks here. But I didn't put this in my gray category. I mean, coffee should be brown, right? But it's definitely more of a grayish brown than brown like the rest of everything that's here. So we have Esterbrook and TCMC, Forgotten Iced Coffee. And I mean, now looking at it from this angle, I can see the brown notes in it, but compared to everything else that's here, it's definitely leaning on the gray side than the brown. It's still a really pretty ink though. So Esterbrook and the Coffee Monsters Co. Forgotten Iced Coffee. The next ink is Herbin Lit de Thé. Now, I had a different brown ink before from Herbin, and now I can't remember the name of it, but I did end up, I think, giving it away. It wasn't Lit de Thé, it was Cafe something. I cannot remember. And that was when I didn't really like browns. So I ended up giving that one away. And I'm okay with that, because I prefer this brown. Like the creamy golden notes in this one. And it's funny how this one, it's not that it looks thicker, but it just looks more, how do I describe that? Creamy, even though that doesn't at all reflect in like the thickness of the ink. I just mean creamy in the way that it looks. So we have Herbin Lit de Thé. Again, an ink, a brown ink that actually looks brown when you write with it is so important to me, because I don't need brown ink that looks black. I want it to look brown. So Herbin Lit de Thé, I love the small bottles that they come in, because it makes me, one, it takes up less room, but two, I don't feel like, I mean, even the other bottles aren't too bad, but these are 10 mils. I can live with 10 mils. The next brown ink is Monteverde Moonstone, and I can't even remember where I purchased this now, but I know I haven't really had the opportunity to ink this one up in a pen, or I did, but it just wasn't, I guess, the best experience with that. So this is going to help me decide whether this is an ink that I do keep, comparing it to the other the other inks in my collection. Oh, I know that Shauna of Serial Nana loves Monteverde Moonstone, but I need to look at it in comparison to all the other brown inks that I currently have. So I do like the way that it's going down, but is this one that might be too dark writing with? So we have Monteverde Moonstone. I'm a little, I don't know, kind of meh on this one, but maybe it's because I have so many. Like the line widths look lovely, but I feel like in writing it would look darker and more black than I would like it to. So that is a Monteverde Moonstone. Next we have KWC. It smells like coffee. I got this one from Blesket, Canada, and I'm just going to take a quick whiff. Ooh, it does actually smell like coffee. I forgot about that. More like a chocolatey mocha. And normally smells would bother me, or anything that's too fragrant would bother me. But this one actually isn't too bad. And I really like the richness of this ink. It looks like kind of the crema in espresso. That's lovely. I really should use this one more. Like you could tell which browns I am leaning more towards. So this is KWZ. It smells like coffee. Lovely ink. I really should put this in a pen sometime soon. I did put it in my, was it the Diplomat? Which I did end up selling. Just wasn't for me. Beautiful pen, just not for me, but I really do like that ink. I'm going to try see maybe if I can get that inked up in the next month or so. KWZ, it smells like coffee. Next ink we have is Sailor Urameku Kitsune Biori, and you are probably going to be like, are you sure that's brown? Are you sure, Karina? Because sometimes it looks pink, and it really depends which color category you put it with. If you put this with pinks, it looks brown. If you put this with the browns, it looks pink. And actually, as it goes down, it does look like a lighter brown. But one of the things that I love about this ink is that it just surprises you. And you're like, really? I don't know which one it is. Brown? Pink? Again, I love it. I love those inks that don't always fit into one category or another, which is also why I purchased a second bottle of this, because I loved it so much. So this ink, the Sailor Urameku Kitsune Biori, you can tell that it is looking a little more pink in the swatch, but in the writing it definitely looks more brown. I really love this ink. Beautiful. If you've never tried this one, highly recommend it. So Sailor Urameku Kitsune Biori. Next we have another Sailor. This is Sailor Manyo Shirakashi, and this one, in the bottle it looks green. This ink went with the Sailor Manyo Nuts pen, and when I sold that one, I was like, I'm just selling the pen, I'm not selling the ink that goes with it, because like, look at that, it looks like it's green. It is green, but I promise you that when it dries, it turns into this brown that is gorgeous. And then you have to wonder, like, how many of these inks from Sailor are just one of those like surprise inks, goes down one color, and then it's completely different once dried. I love that. So we have Sailor, Manyo, Shirakashi. Or maybe I'm completely mistaken and this one is actually green and not brown. Now I'm second guessing myself. It's beautiful, it's green, but when it dries as a brown, it's also really lovely. So let's just wait on that one. The next ink I have is from Robert Auster, and this is Cafe Crema. This was one of those inks that was one that I saw everywhere when I first started my fountain pen journey, and one that so many people recommended as a really great brown ink. And now I remember why. Like I said, this definitely looks like that crema that you see with espresso. Gorgeous. Now, I did say that that looks kind of like KWZ Smells Like Coffee or Lidate, one of the two. I can't remember now, but I love that. However, what's important to me though is, what does this look like in writing? Because while the swatches are beautiful, it needs to also reflect that in the writing. And what I found with Cafe Crema is that it has gorgeous shading, and you really can see the brown in the writing, especially when you're doing, like, for example, a fine or an extra fine nib. You want to make sure that the color of the ink can actually be seen when writing, and this can. Look at that beautiful golden brown. Robert Auster Cafe Crema. The next ink I have is Robert Auster and the Coffee Monsters Co. Coffee Monster. This was a sample given to me by pen friend Carola, who, I can say this now, I'm so excited. We're meeting up in Vancouver soon, and I'm so excited. Now I'm actually just swatching this next to Cafe Crema, and I can see that there are definitely similarities with how this is going down, but I can't wait to see what this looks like once it's dried, because I think that for me is the kicker. See how Cafe Crema has darkened as it's dried. So I'm wondering if the same is going to happen to Coffee Monster. And I haven't used this ink in quite a while, but I did use quite a bit of it when I got it. Was it last year? Yeah, last year at the San Francisco Pen Show. So this is Robert Auster and Coffee Monsters Co. with Coffee Monster. And I feel like they are very similar. I feel like Coffee Monster, though, is slightly darker than Cafe Crema. Oh, wow, look at that. These two are very, very similar, and I don't think I really need one over the other. I think I prefer Cafe Crema because of just the lightness of the ink versus a Coffee Monster. But that is Robert Auster and the Coffee Monsters Co. Coffee Monster. Next, we have Robert Auster Muddy Sand. This was sent to me by pen friend Lexi. And I know which inks are from Lexi because hers have the insanely neat labels. And so I forgot what this one looks like. This feels like it's a little bit more watery than the two previous Robert Auster inks that I just tried. And I'm not sure. What does this remind me of? Out of the browns that I have here, which one does it look most similar to? And funny enough, I'm like, I don't know. Even though all of the browns are right in front of me, I feel like it looks kind of similar to raw sienna, but I have to wait to see this dry. So this is Robert Auster Muddy Sand. now that I'm writing with it, like the brown is lovely, but I feel that it might come across too dark in a fine or an extra fine nib. Yeah, it looks very similar to me, like to Diamine Raw Sienna. So I might not need both of these. Still a beautiful ink though. Muddy Sand. And last of the Robert Auster inks, we have Van Pen 86. I purchased this at the Vancouver Pen Shop last year when I was in Vancouver for a work conference. And funny enough, I'll actually be headed to Vancouver again for a work conference here as well. And I remember I went straight from the airport to the Vancouver Pen Shop. Before I even checked into my hotel, I went straight to the pen shop and I asked them, what is your exclusive thing that you have here, whether it's an exclusive pen or an exclusive ink? And I'm actually just going to take some of the ink that's on here. And they said, actually, yeah, we have an exclusive ink from Robert Auster. And I thought, yep, that is going to be my souvenir from the Vancouver Pen Shop. So this is Van Pen 86. So 86 is the year that the shop opened. And I really like this brown. It's looks like a kind of greeny, not grainy, but green brown. And I like that. Which one does this look like? Now I'm trying to compare all of my inks and trying to compare which looks similar. These three, well, no, these two look similar. And then this looks a little bit more similar to Raw Sienna or Lead Tape. But I'll look at these all after. But Van Pen 86 doesn't look like anything else that I currently have. And it's lovely. It's got kind of like yellowy green undertones. Beautiful. So Van Pen 86. Next we have Pilot Iroshizuku Ina Ho. And I know some of you aren't going to be happy that I'm swatching an ink that is no longer available, but this is part of my collection and I want to be able to catalog it properly. So there we go. Gorgeous. I did do a video where I tried to find a dupe for this. Actually, two videos to find dupes for this. And I'm hoping that'll be helpful for anyone who wants to find an ink quite similar. And I'll put that in the corner up here. But yeah, I hate that Pilot has discontinued this because it's such a beautiful ink. Very wet too. But it's that beautiful golden rice brown that shades beautifully. Love it. So Pilot Iroshizuku Ina Ho. Another brown ink from Pilot. I think this one is also discontinued, so I apologize for that. This is Pilot Iroshizuku Sakushi. I think it's a discontinued. I don't know. Please let me know down in the comments below. And this one I feel like is going to be more. Oh, there's a lot of ink in there. It's more of like a reddish brown. That's not necessarily to my taste. It almost looks like it's very similar to Tulip Moth Warm, but a bit more saturated. So that's definitely a reddish brown. Not normally the type of brown that I go for. Like you can tell that with the types of browns I like, it's more of like the golden browns or, well, really the golden browns or like the almost pink browns. So we got Pilot Iroshizuku Sakushi. Beautiful, but I feel like it's one of those that is quite dark in a fine or an extra fine nib. Lovely. Oh, wow. Sakushi. Next we have Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose. And another ink that I said, I don't need to try a sample of this. I am fine with the pictures on the website. And yes, this is one I'm very happy that I did purchase. It's got that lovely kind of beigey brown shimmer and then this pinky orangey red, sorry, beigey brown base with kind of this pinky orangey red shimmer. Look at that. Fun, fun, fun. I'm a big fan of this ink. I'm glad I have a large bottle of this too. So this is Wearingeul. And a very long name, the Nightingale. And the rose. Look at that, it's so pretty. As it dries, it just, I love it. And for shimmer ink, works very well in my fine and extra fine nibs. So Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose, a lovely fall color as well. And last but not least, we have Wearingeul, the Stone Cutter's Song. Now, I wasn't sure which category to put this in. I had to go through all of my, oh, that's Lucy, all of my previous swatches to remember, is this gray? Is this brown? Is this purple? And I feel like this is like a brown, gray, purple. But wait until it dries, and then we can really decide which category this is going to stay in. But it definitely looks brown, just even from that. But again, what is brown? Brown has so many different tones to it. Like the ones that I have on my page here look pink or red or green even. Sorry, Lucy is sleeping on my desk chair. She's actually taking up the back half of the chair, and I'm basically leaning over the front half of the chair trying to do my swatching. And if you hear her whining in the background, it's because I'm probably not giving her enough room on the chair. I like this. This does lean, I feel like, a little bit more purple than brown, but it's a beautiful ink regardless. Wearingeul, Stone Cutter's Song. There are all of the brown inks that I currently own, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I did this because now I can see how many of these look similar and how many variations of brown there are. So I'm first looking at Androlium Tulip Mothworm. It's definitely leaning more towards the reddish brown, similar to Sakushi, but Sakushi is darker and has a lot of that green sheen that's coming out in that. And then we have Colorverse Giant Potato. I'm looking around to see what this looks similar to, and actually I can't find too many that look similar to this in tone because it's got that warmer, well, I don't know, kind of beigey brown and lighter as well. Almost like, no, the base for Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose is warmer. Yeah, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. It's pretty though, really, really pretty. And then Diamine Dusted Truffle looks more silver or gray than the other browns, but that is because of the silver shimmer that is in there. And then Diamine Raw Sienna, such a great brown, one of my favorites, just because it's just, for me, your stereotypical brown. And also, when you write with it, especially with a finer and extra fine nib, it does actually look brown. It doesn't look black. Diamine Weeping Willow. And look at the chromo shading in here. You've got a little bit of the pink and the green that's coming out. Really, really lovely. Diamine Yule Log. Gorgeous shimmer in that. That kind of coppery shimmer makes it, I don't know, it stands out. It definitely stands out. Diamine Harvest Moon and Oyster Hour. Interesting that I put them next to each other because they look like they've got the same base, but then you add the gold shimmer to Harvest Moon and it makes it just a little bit more different. But I do like having Oyster Hour as a base as well because I feel like without the shimmer in this, it wouldn't necessarily be exactly the same as Oyster Hour, if that makes sense. And then we have Workshop Wishes, beautiful kind of yellowy golden brown with a silver shimmer on top. Well, I don't even say golden brown, but like more orangey brown. And then we have Ferris Wheel Press Writing Desk, a really lovely, rich, dark brown with green green sheen pooling on the edges. Esterbrook, Forgotten Iced Coffee, more gray than brown here, but still a really nice ink. It's one of those inks where I'm like, is this brown or is this gray? Then I have Herbin Lite, which kind of goes with the coffee or tea browns like Cafe Crema, Coffee Monster, and it smells like coffee. They have that same kind of undertone to them. Then Monteverde Moonstone, compared to everything else here, looks more gray than brown and probably is not one that I will keep. KWZ, it smells like coffee. Lovely. Even with the scent of the coffee, the scent doesn't bother me at all. Really pretty. Kitsune Biore, compared to everything else, looks pink, but also looks very similar to Wearingeul's Stonecutter Song. If I had to pick between the two, I'd probably stick with Yurameku Kitsune Biore and probably let go of that sample of Stonecutter Song, which I'm fine with. Sailor Manyo Shirakashi. Okay, I've seen other samples or swatches of this that look more brown, but now that it's compared to all the other browns, it's definitely green. I apologize for that one. Cafe Crema and Coffee Monster look very, very similar, especially now that I put them next to each other. But writing with Coffee Monster looks like there's a little bit more sheen happening around the edges. I'd rather keep Cafe Crema over the Coffee Monster. And then Muddy Sand, I feel like, is a very similar to Raw Sienna, and I'd rather keep Raw Sienna just because, one, I have a bigger bottle of it, but two, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorites. Then Robert Auster Van Pen 86. This one is kind of like a green brown. Lovely, but look at the chroma shading that's happening here. And then I have no words for Inaho. No words. Definitely a yellowy brown. So unique. Lovely. Sakushi. It's not the brown that I typically go for because it's more of that reddish burgundy brown. Not normally for me. Wearingeul, the Nightingale, and the Rose. Love the base color of that with that red pinky shimmer. And then Stonecutter Song. I didn't realize it was so similar to Kitsune Biore, but now that I look at them, very, very similar. Okay, that is it for all of my brown inks. And I know I'm probably missing many of your favorites, but I don't think I need any more. Maybe? I don't know. Let me know your favorites down in the comments below. All right, thank you all so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe. Thanks again and have yourselves a great day.